Good evening. We are picking up our master quest, more or less where we left off last week. Oh, J-Strong, congratulations on being first. This is throwing me off just a little bit, since I just did this the other day in the randomizer. Oh, hey Aqua. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, yeah, last time we basically made it right up to Bongo Bongo, but had to stop. So I'm pretty much just gonna run straight there, grab the boss key, and, oh hey. Pretty much just gonna run there, grab the boss key, and kill him. Don't get soft-locked again. I'm trying not to. Ow. So speaking of getting soft-locked, that was the culprit the other day. Well, the vanilla variant anyway. I got stuck between a Skulltula and one of these things, and it just hit me over and over. I'm so used to Wind Waker, because that's the most recent game I was playing, I think. I was playing Archipelago on stream the other day, but I think I played a bit of Wind Waker on my own time after that. Come to think of it. Well, first off, I needed to bring the hover boots. Isn't there like a shortcut that I opened that's like up here, and I don't need to do any of this? It's like, I remember there being a shortcut. Yeah, I think it's like through here. Here we are. Yeah, that's way simpler than doing the whole temple again. Also, if I sound slightly under the weather, it's because I am. I am on the mend, but I'm not at 100%. Fly, you weird shadow ship with like a duck head. Fly. Oh, he's dead. I do have a fairy in the event of damage. I hear a gold skulltula. Navi, you're a little bit late with that warning. There you are. I knew I heard a skulltula somewhere. I don't think I'm getting every skulltula, but I may as well try. Guidebook told you that you need fire arrows for this. I mean, it is kind of a rational presumption. But yeah, bonfires just get set off with any arrow. Okay, what did that accomplish? That door is still shut. So I need to find a way to open it. Oh. Well, that would be that. That puts that there. That doesn't open anything there. Does let me up there. It's all coming together. Now, how would one get across? Hover boots, perhaps? Wait, hover boots did not get the job done. Hover boots profoundly did not get the job done. I wonder if that, I wonder if that door is going to stay open. I like how they make me do the whole boat thing again. If it's not still open, that's fine. I'll just have to figure out the correct way across. Not that unreasonable of an ask. I'm pretty sure you can, like, come up here and, like, the Southhouse will, like, chase and fall off. Something like that. I saw a speedrunner do it once. I'd probably be farther ahead just killing it. Go for the face, Link. Looks like the door is open. Awesome. Those arrows were like, we don't want to go with you. Yeah, I'm not sure how you're meant to get back across. My way did technically work. Almost certainly was not intended. Granted, that is how I approach most things in most games. Technically works, definitely wasn't intended. Okay, I have no keys, can't get in there. I feel like if I was going to design a dungeon, I would want aesthetics like this. You know, like cold flames, skulls everywhere. Small key. Awesome. Needs a blood fountain, go full edgy. Depends on what exactly the vibe you're going for is. Yori looks low poly in purple today. Actually, it's more of a pink shade, I think. Also, Saver is missing, but what else is new? I like how the only thing that Lens of Truth reveals here is, like, the shadow under that palm in particular. Oh, hello. I am now the Saver. Realistically, Link would be a Saver. He could also be a Rider, though, because of Epona. Or an Archer, because light arrows. You could make a case for a caster, but it wouldn't be a strong case. Link doesn't do a whole lot of magic himself, it's mostly like magic via items that other people have given him. True, he can't be an archer, he uses a bow. Being an assassin is less about being sneaky and more about killing people. Well, that was a waste. Anybody can be a berserker, that's the whole point. Wind Waker Link is a caster? I don't know about that. It's kind of the same deal, where like most of his magic comes from items that other people give him. I think I just killed a bunch of invisible spiders. Yay, boss key. Well, now I have everything that I need to kill Bongo Bongo. There's something I find immensely satisfying about just stabbing and one-shotting a like-like. I guess it's because, like, those things, gave me such a hard time growing up. It's good to be like, hey, now you're the one who gets wrecked. Oh, true, you didn't see the ice arrows in action the other day. Yeah, typically, on a given playthrough, you wouldn't have the ice arrows by this point. You kind of like have to go out of your way to get them. But for some reason, Bongo Bongo has a very specific weakness to them. Assuming I can actually land my shots. Yeah, it just freezes one of his hands, and he's like, no, wait, no, that doesn't count. Stop it. And he's dead. Like, aside from just cheesing him, that's like definitely the easiest way to handle him. And by cheesing, I mean like cutting him with like a glitch so that he doesn't like have AI. Yay, a heart container. Oh, no magic. Also, I forgot to fix Consultant's regular expression, so it's still gonna go off if the string BOT is anywhere in your message. Imp gives us the lore drop, and more importantly, gives us the Shadow Medallion. Please look out for the princess. Did I ever get the piece of heart in the back left? I imagine I would have. Yeah, I went to the Spirit Temple last time, so I should have the Requiem of Spirit and be able to just go there. Oh wait, I'm still missing the Prelude of Light. Whoops. I should probably go get that. Oh, the Linkle mod for Twilight Princess is almost done. Or like it's playable. That's really good news. I was actually originally holding off on playing that game until that mod was available. Then I found the modding tools and I was like, wait, what if I just made myself the protagonist? I would need the gold gauntlets, I think, to get the fairy behind Ganon's castle. So I can't do that really conveniently. Okay, so So this should give me the Prelude of Light. Sheik's like, dude, I've been waiting for you. I'm only, what, 4 dungeons late? Not that big of a deal. Yeah, if you don't have the tweak that makes it so you can teleport back and forth with the Song in Time, or the Song of Time, this is like how you're meant to go back and forth. A down A, right down A. I think I actually need to go there as a child. Luckily, I can just do that. I don't need no Temple of Time. Alright, Spirit Temple, Master Quest. I don't know if the Tower of Ganon is also gonna get Master Quested. But if not, this is gonna be like the last major challenge. Oh, Silver Rupees right out the gate. Inscription basically telling me, if you want to get anywhere as an adult, you need to find the dungeon item as a child first. Oh, the jump scared me a little bit. I thought that was like a rat holding a red rupee. Ooh, Bombchu. Small key. I presume that I can't get through these geysers. And my boomerang doesn't work. Alright. Naboru, out of my way, please. Simply because Zora, yeah, wrong game. Plus, even if I were Zora, I'm pretty sure I couldn't go into an active pillar like that. Rude. He says, stop it. That's not cool of you. Okay, it's damage reduction. That's what it is. You simply don't take enough damage from the Kokiri sword to take damage. Good to know. Oh, that is a Gibdo. Ching. genuinely surprised that Child Link didn't have damage to do that. I know that I've got bomb chews. I just prefer to use normal bombs for things. Oh, that didn't accomplish much. Ooh, big thing. I like how Anubis is just like, I'm still here. Oh, thank you for the rotation. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you for the head taps. I appreciate those too. Okay, what happens if I go down the middle, given that I've already got a key? I think this is the first time I've ever seen it to where I need a bomb chew, because I don't think I could get a standard bomb in there. Oh, that's just rude. That's just rude is what that is. You hit a switch, it just drops a like on your head. Granted, I probably had to do that in order to climb up. But still, it's the principle of the matter. I just had a thought. I wonder if Master Quest was anybody's, like, first version of Ocarina of Time. I bet I have to get that as an add-on. Or do I? Like, not N64, not, like, GameCube, not, Virtual Console. Like, specifically Master Quest. It could technically be yours, but that doesn't really count. Okay, what would I do? Yeah, Master Quest, as far as I'm aware, was never released in the West until the GameCube Collector's Edition. So, like, it would be difficult for just about anybody to have it be your first. Like, it would almost need to be a situation where somebody else was like, hey, let me set up Ship of Arcanian for you. But then they installed Master Quest. I hear another... Oh, there you are. Sneaky. Right, that puts that there, but how do I get there? I don't have hookshot, I don't have hover boots. You had a different looking Zelda Ocarina cartridge for the N64, but it didn't fit into your N64. Are you sure that it was an N64 cartridge and not like a Super Nintendo cartridge or something? Unhand me. Are there any rocks down there? I'm doing that thing that I said I might end up doing, where I'm just kind of checking everything with the lens of truth. I'm clearly missing something. I wonder if it's like a block of time situation. Or like maybe there's a switch hidden under that grave. Or like in general, maybe there's like a switch hidden in this room. Also true, maybe you had like a North American cartridge versus a European cartridge. That chest is pointed that way, which makes me think I'm meant to approach it from that way. Wait, how did I one-shot this thing first time? And why is there a... I was gonna say, why is there this thing here? What if I meant to blow that thing up somehow, like with a bomb shield? Oh, hello there. Sneakier than I thought it'd be. And that answers why this is here. And then the Gyptos get me. But I don't want them to get me. And they're dead. As they should be. This is the price of defiance. Well, this is an arena. This is something that I'd expect to see in, like, a raw map. It's kind of disorienting. Thank you, nuts don't even work on it. Oh. Are you gonna take a stab at me, sir? Sir? I kind of... I kind of can't kill you if you don't try to kill me. Sir? 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 Oh, sir? Sir? You know, I can't even deny that his strategy's effective. Sir, please, take another swing at me. I wasn't ready for the last one. Maybe it's meant to be like a sumo thing where like I knock him off. If it works, it works. Oh, small key. Awesome. Yeah, the fact that there's a rusty switch there means that I must be expected to come through here as an adult. Or does it? Because how would I flip that switch as an adult from this side? First things first, there's also that torch up there, which I presume is something for adult Link. I also presume that, like, for story reasons, the silver gauntlets are going to be where they were originally. I probably was not meant to do that. Okay, that was probably meant to get me here. What can I do with this? This is for weighing down a switch. The switch that I saw that needs to be weighed down was up on the statue's hand. What if I light these torches with Din's fire? Huh. Din's fire activates eye switches that are frozen. Interesting. I'll have to remember that one. I wonder if it also activates left frozen switches. I also presume I've got to be faster to actually activate all three, so I would need the fire arrows. That's Pierre, so adult Link. Adult Link has to push that one from the other side. Part of me thinks that I'm not supposed to use Din's Fire, part of me is like, why give me magic and pass if not? Rude. Oh, I suppose I could just leave through that door. Navi, are you okay? That said, I think I see what I need to do here. I need to pull a Song of Time block here. Think. Yeah, and then I can grab that. Or... I guess I need to get the smaller box off it first, then move it. I probably need to leave and come back to respawn it. That's fine. I don't think I could pull it back up. Oh, that toggled both of them. Wait, that's rude. I guess it's like a given radius around you, assuming that you're like not physically in contact with it. Well, whatever works. And it all comes together. And through here ought to be the silver gauntlets. Oh wait, no, there's this, and then there's a dark net, I think? Yeah, then there's a dark net, then there's the silver gauntlets. Multiple blocks have to be put into sunlight by the looks of it. What's this do? Removes all the fire, straightforward enough. Oh, well, that gets me through, I guess. But I also want that chest. And the sculpture level we're at it, which is presumably the last one. Or is it? Am I perhaps missing one? Nope, a single recovery heart, very rude. There's a hookshot target up there, which makes me see that I'm able to get here as an adult as well. There's the last one. It's getting kind of compact in here. Hopefully there's room. Okay, I do need to come here as an adult. Good to confirm, I suppose. And I'm missing a small key. Wait, there was a treasure chest back in the very start? I should probably attempt to grab that one. Moderately annoying, but reasonable for either the ultimate or a penultimate challenge. Why is this sconce not on fire? Okay, just a visual thing. Oh, that also opens the thing down there. Good to know. That would be how Adult gets there, and come to think of it, Adult is probably the one who has to spawn the chest here. There's that one chest that I'm pretty sure I need to be an adult to get to as well. There's one in the tunnel that I think I need to be an adult to get. There's one off to the right that I think I need to be an adult to get. Do you have a small key that you're willing to just give me? That's not the normal thing that blocks it. That's a bomb chew. Okay, that's a hookshot target. Good to know, though. Oh, and there's a switch back there. I was so proud of myself for like 3 seconds. Then it was like, not quite. Your reward is a hint to the puzzle you already solved. Okay, presumably the last one is collecting all the rupees. Which I can't do at this point in time, I'm pretty sure. Since at least 2 of them are down the adult path. What is the point of turning off the fire in here? Is there a point to turning off the fire in here? I need the Megaton Hammer for this, so I've got to be an adult. If I could grab that, it would be swell, but I'm pretty sure that I can't. There's a chest over there, maybe. But I'm pretty sure that I would need, the long shot to get to it. Plus, in general, you can't really get over there without the long shot. There are these boxes which are interesting. Vanilla, standing on that hand and playing Zelda's Lullaby, spawns a chest. You gotta be an adult for that. I'm fairly confident that I'm not meant to backtrack through the entire thing. Generally speaking, that's not how things go. So I just have to get a small key from somewhere. Also, the small key doesn't necessarily have to be in a chest that shows up on the map. It might be like an enemy drop. Over here in Vanilla, there's a gold Skulltula. This flame thing is out kind of suspicious to me, but I don't know if there's anything I don't know if there's anything I can do to it. At least as a child. Skulltula up there that I need to be an adult to get. I don't know why it is. Skulltulas are just like my mortal enemy in this game. It's like Skulltulas and Stalfos. Am I missing something clever? I'll resume figuring this out after tonight's 5-minute break. Please use this time to refill your beverage, go to the bathroom, anything that would take you about 5 minutes. I will see you shortly. I return. Thank you for the hydration. Hydration is very important. Well, that fight didn't work. I didn't think it would, but it was worth trying. Well, that's interesting. Those two were occupying the same space. Yeah, the main thing that's coming to mind is, I presume... I need to find a way to get to one of those chests that I thought that I couldn't. Like the one on the other side of the hands in here. Okay, what if I just run between all these things really fast using Din's Fire? Being an adult, I don't think I can do anything here as an adult until I get the Silver Gauntlets. Actually, that's not true. I could climb up top, because I was able to open the thing. That is technically an option. Yeah, let's head back to the start of the dungeon. Floormaster, take me there, please. If you've never heard a scream of gratitude, that's what it sounds like. Thank you for the rotation. And the head pats. It feels weird coming here as an adult without the Silver Gauntlets, but I guess it is possible. I'm going to drop by the Great Fairy just to top up on everything. Yeah, I just had two thoughts in a row. The first thought was, why doesn't the fairy just, like, come along and, like, spam heals on me? Like, if she wants to help, that would be very helpful. The second thought was, wait, that's just Shin Megami Tensei. In SMT, usually your first demon is a fairy. Oh, wait, no, I can't do this because I don't have the silver gauntlets. Is the OT and SMT like? Not even close. Can't go up the shaft at all. I can go up there, but then there's a gigantic block that 100% needs the silver gauntlets to move it. So, looks like I do have to do it as a kid. I could probably cheese it by getting in there, then turning into an adult, but that's not intended, so... I have some restraint. I want to solve this the right way. My next thought is, well, that's rude. Wait, all the enemies are gone? My next thought is, maybe that Stalfos that I, my next thought is, maybe that Stalfos that I sumoed, I wasn't actually supposed to sumo. And, like, maybe he would have dropped a small key. And, the small key that, like, I got from the central chamber maybe was, like, intended for adult Link. Well, it's not respawning, so if that Stalfos was meant to drop a key, I might be soft blocked. It's probably not, but... OOT isn't a perfect game, so maybe that's what happened. Like, the most egregious example I can think of is there's a piece of heart that you can miss by just walking away from it. And if you do, it permanently despawns and you can never get it. If I could get up there somehow... that would be nice. Like, I'm not necessarily, like, of the opinion that I'm soft-locked, but... It's a possibility I'm willing to consider. I can make Pierre appear there, but that's not particularly useful without the long shot. I can get through this door, but that's not useful without being an adult with silver gauntlets. And also coming from the other side. My other guess is that I've got to play this long of time somewhere. Like maybe even in this room. Southwest doesn't have a key. Thanks for verifying that. I didn't think it did, but I was willing to entertain the possibility. Okay, my next thought is, what if I stand on the, hand with the, with, like, the weight switch? And I play the Song of Time there. Like, can I perhaps get across? One way to find out. Let's just turn this off real quick, like. Granted, I am close enough to the other blocks that it probably wouldn't time travel me anyway. Yeah, that's a key door, that's a bar door. Pretty sure I can't light these 3 sconces with Din's fire. So that's probably gotta be done as an adult with fire arrows. I do think it's kind of weird that this thing is just here. Like, maybe it is just an obstacle, but like... something about it just kinda makes me think, oh, this is shenanigans. There could be something else in this room. Now he's saying, watch out. He's going like, watch out. Well, that reset this room. That's not fun. might be genuinely at a loss here. Unless killing these, Unless killing these flame skulls, like, drops something. Which it very well might. I kinda tried that earlier, and, gave up on my initial attempts to deal damage, didn't pan out. Yep, I'm aware that that master quest does pixel hunting. Saying I might be at a loss isn't me saying, hey, tell me how to do this. I find it kind of interesting how I consistently managed to find, like, no Deku sticks. Looks like jump attacks will do the job on these guys. Killing all these guys doesn't feel like what I'm supposed to do, but it's worth trying, I imagine. Your favorite bad voice acting will always be Resident Evil 1. I've never played a Resident Evil game. They are dead, and that didn't accomplish anything. Who needs to be an adult? Not me. That would have been sick if that was the small key. You need a key to open a door that is locked and chained. Thanks, Navi. I got this far in the game without finding that out somehow. Okay, so... assuming that the small key is in a chest... the one over there is still one of my, prime suspects. does this open up again? I think I just found the chest. I can get through here with Din's fire. That just takes me here. Okay, did I just spy something? Oh my god. Okay. Well, alright. I did it, thank you. Oh, thank you for the rotation. We give ourselves a celebratory spin around the vertical axis. Just for fun. As a treat. And then I messed up the backflip twice in a row. As a treat. 3 times. There we go. I do kind of wish that this door would stay open. You kind of want a 10 times the price, 10 times the speed rotation. I mean, technically, that's doable. Yeah, not gonna lie, I was contemplating looking up a guide. I'm glad that I didn't have to do that. Yeah, no, I did not want to ask. I wanted to figure it out for myself. And I'm happy that I did. And she's dead. Yeah, I think it was this room. There, see? The textures in the corridor changed. And there's the silver gauntlets. And then Naboru gets kidnapped. I like the part where she almost blows my cover by looking directly at me and screaming my name at the top of her lungs. Let's grab that piece of heart while we're here. Ooh, Skulltula. Did I just spy a gold Skulltula up there as well? Maybe I didn't. Oh well. Hi, Sarah Temple. I'm back. It's been 7 years, but from my perspective, it's been about 30 seconds. And with the silver gauntlets, I can do this. That was a fucking dirty bomb where the character could do a heavy stab and then spin. There was a similar thing you could do in Star Wars Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy. Where you would do like a heavy jumping attack. But then like crank your sensitivity up and like spin around. And anything that your lightsaber came in contact with would take the full damage. All that for just 5 rupees. But yeah, like, if you ever like went into like the multiplayer on that game and did like PvP, the try-hard meta was very much to like, essentially activate that hitbox and swing it into somebody by any means possible. That just opens the door. I suppose I shouldn't say just. It's worth doing. I don't have the mirror shield, so I can't interact with these just yet. Similar deal in a game called Mordhau that I played briefly, where they kind of tried to prevent that behavior, but essentially what players would do is they would do like a heavy attack and then rotate their character. And it just like completely subverted like the normal fighting mechanics with that game. Small key. Excellent. I was wanting one of those. Okay, that'll put a chest there for Child Link to get. could go back up there, but I've already got the Skulltula, so I don't need to. I have a small key, so I can get up through there. If only I had the blast mask. Actually, doesn't Megaton Hammer kill these things? No, it does not. Why is this one a little bit shorter than the others, I wonder? Bundle of arrows. Let's turn this off. My thought process is the upper one surely will, like, drop a thing onto the lower one. That I can then use to weigh this down. Unless I meant to, like, push one of the eye statue things around. Okay, now there's a box there. Right, fair enough. Imagine I got this far and I accidentally threw the box. That would be annoying. Rude. I'm not sure what I did, but I'll happily take credit for it. The other dark net. The only hit point that matters is the last one. And she's dead. I would indeed like to equip the mirror shield now. It's very cool looking. I'm a big fan of the Ocarina of Time mirror shield design. Honestly, I love all the mirror shields. They're all very, very cool. Like, I enjoy how the Link to the Past one is like a giant tower shield. I like how the Wind Waker one has like this really, really nice like reflective surface. Moderately annoying that they make me put this back. Developers having a bit of a giggle. That's okay though. Also, yeah, I was saying that earlier, like, I imagine that, like, the Silver Gauntlets in particular weren't going to be changed for story reasons. Right, well, I got what I need to kill Twinrova. I got what I need to open Twinrova's door. I just need to get to Twinrova. For once in my life, I did not run face first into a firewall. I think this room was the one with all the sun switches. Yes, it was. Could have been Aerial Firefox. You're not wrong. Though I guess fire's like my third favorite element. I prefer lightning and ice. Oh boy, the low health jingle, everybody's favorite. Are explosions an element? Depends on the type of explosion, but yeah. Oh, they're all wrong. That's rude. Oh, you have to get them all wrong. Well, wrong. Fire and Ice Mixed Team Explosions. Sypha actually does that in Netflix Castlevania. It's very cool. and they use the stated power turbine, she doesn't do that. Instead what she does is she's like in the middle of like a fight against a bunch of guys. And they're like fighting in an armory, so what she does is she like freezes a bunch of weapons that are like up against the wall. And then she casts a fireball at it, and it creates this like big explosion that shoots the weapons across the room into their faces. And it's very cool. Is this them going, we made a big desert thing, you gotta fight the big desert thing? Yes, it is. I respect it. Well, that kind of wasn't worth my time. But knowing that that's a check is going to be useful in the randomizer. Let's see what this is. Hope it's a small key. Awesome, it's a small key. Yep, lots of checks in there. And like 3 of them you can get right off the bat. Rude. Rude. Perish. This is probably not the intended way to collect these, but it's the way I want to do it. I like how that last key veered off at the last second, like, on second thought, maybe I don't wanna. so over here's the round thing. I got rid of the switch they could hit through the wall. It's probably just down here in one of these crates. What is on the other side? If anything. Nothing. Good to know. I guess this switch turned off the fire? Oh, that's mean. That's rude is what that is. That's so rude. Nobody made them be this rude. They chose it on their own. Granted, I suppose technically I don't have to push this one before going there. There's a treasure chest. According to the compass. Oh, it's just there. Alright. Yeah, that was important. Let me guess, this last room over here has a gold sculpture in it? Oh, it's a dark knight with a gold sculpture. And like 3 thrones. I bet you're meant to like have to bait the thing into killing it. Oh, there's more than one sculpture in here even. Clever. If you just go full aggro and kill the Dark Knight, you can't get them. At least not without like coming back. I don't think there's anything over here, but I may as well go 3 for 3. I was kind of wondering where the extra gold sculptures in this dungeon have gone. We're up to 60, not that that means anything. That's actually super cool. I like that a lot. Okay, legit question. Are the trials in Ganon's Tower also master quested? I assume they are, but like, are they? Pretty sure yes? Alright. In that case, I will probably beat this game next week. If they were vanilla, I might just be like, you know what, it's vanilla. Let's just go beat the game tonight. But if there's more master questing to do, we can finish up next week. Also, a special dark note. I wonder who it could be. And she's dead. No, wait, she survived. Though she's seen some things. You know, for being 7 years older, real time, she's looking pretty decent. And then they just get her again. She just can't catch a break. And then that is the boss fight against Winrova. Let's save that for next week. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it each and every time. Next scheduled stream is going to be on Friday. The game is going to be Fate Samurai Remnant. The next time that I'm playing Zelda Ocarina of Time Master Quest is going to be on Wednesday. And I'm pretty convinced that next week is going to be beating this game. In any case, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night, and I hope to see you again. Good night.